This is why your marketing sucks, and here's what to do about it. Most businesses fail not because they don't have good products, but because they suck at marketing and sales. Don't get me wrong, I've been there. I struggled for years with that. I've made tons of mistakes. Some of those mistakes were super expensive, so I had to learn the hard way. But once I figured out these core marketing principles and these concepts, it changed everything for me. I'm Chris Campbell. I've been doing marketing for over 10 years. I have a successful social media marketing agency, and I've built multiple 8-figure businesses. No big deal. Here's the hard truth. This is what most business owners get wrong. They make their marketing and their advertisements all about them. It's like me, 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 me. Look how cool I am. Look how cool my products are. If you want to be cool like me, then buy my shit. If you don't buy my shit today, the world's gonna end. That's how everybody does it, and nobody gives a shit. So here's the thing. Marketing shouldn't be about you and your products and how cool you are. Marketing should be about them, the customer, and their desired outcome, and their own personal version of heaven, and they have their own personal version of hell, which is their pain points, their anxiety, what keeps them up at night. Your job is to guide them from their own hell to their own personal heaven. So the first concept I'm going to show you guys today is something called the market pyramid. And once I learned this, it was a game changer. So let's talk about the market pyramid. So imagine your audience is the entire triangle. They all fit in this entire triangle. The top 3%, those are the customers that are ready to buy right now. They're currently shopping. They're actively shopping. They're brand aware. They're aware of your brand. They're aware of the product, and they're actively shopping. That's where most businesses focus. They put all their marketing attention and all their advertisements into marketing to this top 3%. It's super competitive. It's saturated. What about the other 97% of these people? What about the other part of the pyramid? So as you can see, there's another 6 to 7% of those people that are open to it. They're open to buying the product. Then there's 30% that are not even thinking about it at all. Another 30% who don't even think they're interested in the product. Maybe they don't even know about it. And then there's 30% that know they're not interested. They're confidently know they're not interested in the product. Well, this is where the money is right here. This 6 to 7%, those are really good customers. This other 30% of the people that are not even thinking about it, that's where most business owners miss out. And this other 30%, the people who don't think they're interested, those could be your best lifetime customers if you know how to market to them correctly. So there's this untapped marketplace in every city, every country. This works in every industry. I don't care if you're selling tires, online courses, or beauty products. It always works like this. It always broke down like this. So the question is, how do we market to people in the entire pyramid? And in order to do that, you got to know exactly who you're marketing to. This is a concept I learned. It's called the ideal client profile, or AKA avatars for short. And it's where you're looking at your customer as like a fictitious buyer persona, and you understand their pain, their desire, how they talk, their slang words, their philosophies, their worldview, their limiting beliefs, everything. So here's one of the ways that I try to figure out my ideal customer profile. And you could do this with any business. The first thing you want to think about is what the customer has now before they buy your product or your service, and then what they have afterwards, after they buy your product or service. And then another thing you got to ask yourself is how they feel right now before they purchase, and then how they feel after they buy your stuff. Another thing is, what's a day in the life of the customer now before they buy your product? And then what's the day in the life look like for your customer after they buy your product? So it's more of a transformation. Another one is the status. Like, what's their status now? What's their status after they buy your stuff? If you could break this down, you'll know exactly who you're talking to, and that's what's really going to help your marketing campaigns. This also ties into their own personal hell and their own personal heaven. So hopefully your product can take them from their pain to their desired outcome. So your product needs to relieve that pain of their current life and give them a new life, a better version of themselves, whatever it is. Now, once you understand this transformation of your customers and your avatars, now you could create what we call the stadium pitch. So imagine you're in a stadium and you have all the people that are in your audience, the people in the market pyramid that I talked about earlier in the video. So you have all your ideal customers all in a stadium, all looking at you, and you're standing there with a microphone. What do you say? You have the opportunity to talk to all your ideal customers right now and give them a pitch or say something about your product. What would it be? What would you say? That's called a stadium pitch. And the way this works, the way it's going to be really successful is if you craft the pitch for the entire audience in the market pyramid. So how do you write a message that is geared towards the top 3%, the people who know what they want and they're actively shopping for it and they're actually ready to buy right now? But then how do you also deliver a message to the 6 to 7% that are thinking about it, they're open to it? And then what about the other 30% here, people who weren't even thinking about it at all? The goal would be to write the pitch to reach everybody. So most business owners fuck this up. They write their marketing and their advertisements geared towards the top 3%. So just let's use tires for an example. Let's say you sell tires and you do a marketing campaign that says tires for sale, 50% off this weekend. The only people that are going to be attracted to that advertisement are people that are shopping for tires at the moment. They know they need tires. They're currently and actively shopping for it. But the other 97% of the people on the market pyramid in that stadium, if you started your stadium pitch talking to that entire audience, 97% of them are going to walk out on you right there. There's going to be 3%. So if there's 1,000 people in there, only 30 people are going to be interested. So how do you craft it for everyone? Well, an example would be using education-based marketing. So imagine instead of starting off with tires and tires being on sale or being for a discount, nobody's going to care. Imagine if you started the pitch saying what you need to know to keep your family safe on the roads this winter, something like that. Now people are paying attention. Like, wait, I got to keep my family safe for the winter. What's going on? What are they going to talk about? And then that could lead into an educational based pitch or message that teaches them about safety and hazards and chains and how you need good tires and good tread to be able to survive. But it all starts with that initial hook. So that hook that I'm talking about, it's called the big marketing idea. So the big marketing idea is the first 10 to 20 seconds of your stadium pitch. It's explaining the big transformation of what your product does, but without the actual product. So how do you create your big marketing idea? How do you create that? Number one, you got to ask yourself, what's the big promise of transformation that your product gives them or your service gives them? Like, what's the before and the after? Those things we talked about earlier, like what do they have now? What do they have later? If you can articulate that really well and explain what that is in one strong sentence, but then include what makes it intellectually interesting, you could also include what makes it emotionally compelling. So it's a big promise of transformation, and then what makes it interesting, what makes it compelling, put all that in like 1 or 2 or 3 lines in that first 5-10 seconds of your messaging. This is your stadium pitch. This is the beginning. This is where it all starts. That's going to drive them in. It's going to hook them in so they want to listen to the rest of your messaging. So the second part of the stadium pitch, it's called the story lead. So what this is the story that comes right after the hook. And it's a story that's going to explain like why they should listen to you. Who are you? Why should they listen to you? This could be some type of social proof, some type of narrative. It could be a story about one of your customers. It could be a personal story about you if it's a personal brand. That really depends on the products you're selling. But marketing isn't about listing off a bunch of features and benefits. You got to master the art of storytelling. And that could be in a video. That could also be on a web page. It could be on a blog. It could even be done with visuals through user-generated content on social media. Now, once you have the lead story, you can move on to the next step of the stadium pitch, which is what's called the desire-demand bridge. Now, this is the educational part of your marketing. This is what's going to overcome all the person's limiting beliefs. Once you knock down that big domino, then you have pillars of education that come after that. Because people are going to have limiting beliefs. People are going to be scared. They're going to have fears. They're going to have doubts. So one of the best ways to reframe someone's limiting beliefs and turn them into positive beliefs that actually make them take action where they want to be a better version of themselves, which is the emotion they got to have if they're going to invest into something and take massive change or buy a product. And so you want to have some key pillars of education. Like, what are the 3 main subjects, the 3 main objections that the customer is possibly going to have, some limiting beliefs that all your customers are going to have in common. Once you understand those, you could create educational-based content, videos, YouTube, social media, could even be on your website that reframe these limiting beliefs and build trust. And these could also be in the form of social proof and testimonials. Instead of actually teaching them and getting into the actual tactics and weeds, all you got to do is tell a story that helps them understand, helps them see it from a different way, or challenges their current worldview and reframes it so they could see it in a positive way instead. That should be the bulk of your marketing. Like 80% of your marketing is going to be your desire-demand bridge and just increasing conversion. Because if you have a lot of content in the middle right there, then people could find it all over the internet on different channels and things like that. And as they go through it, they start to educate themselves. And that's how you're going to increase conversion on every level, whether it's lead conversion, whether it's conversion on a landing page or a sales page, whether it's more followers turning into engagement, or just straight up more sales and converting into actual revenue and profit. And if you were doing it all in one sitting, like sitting in a stadium pitching everybody at once, that would be 80% of the time that you're spending pitching them is going to be based on that bridge. The final step is the offer. Okay, so you've already hooked them in with the big marketing idea. You've told them a story to give them credibility of why they should listen to you. And then the bulk of what you were doing, the bulk of your pitch is the desire-demand bridge. And now finally we get to the very end, which is the offer. Now, 3 things that I always remember to make my offers good is the word SIN. So S-I-N. S stands for superior. What makes your offer superior than everybody else on the marketplace? What makes your offer better than the competition? What differentiates you? What makes you unique? And then I stands for irresistible. What makes your offer irresistible? Why can't people refuse your offer? So N stands for no-brainer, which is the risk that people fear before they buy something. So how can you reverse the risk? How can you mitigate the risk? Maybe it's a guarantee. Maybe it's an anti-guarantee. but there's things you could do to make it a no-brainer for the customer. So if you have all three of those things in your offer, it's unique, it's superior, it's irresistible, it's a no-brainer. People can't refuse it. Just makes sense. It's the best decision. And if you did it right, you're taking them from this journey, from this big idea of transformation, this big promise, which is where their pain is, their own personal version of hell. They have a pain. And the big marketing idea is going to dig into that pain. The story is going to explain it so they understand and relate to it. The desire demand bridge is going to overcome all their limiting beliefs and reframe them. And then finally, they see your offer. And they know it's the logical, best decision for them to go from their pain to their desired outcome, from their own personal hell to heaven. And your product is the best bridge that gets them there. And if you do this right, you could even harpoon the sharks in between. So as you're guiding them over that bridge to heaven, they could look down below and see the sharks, which is the other offers, the other obstacles that are in the way, the other solutions they have to solve this problem or to relieve this pain, or the other solutions they have to get to their own personal heaven. And your stadium pitch should include all of that. It should even include how the other bridges to heaven are either longer, slower, harder, tougher, more expensive, whatever. And your bridge to heaven is going to be the best choice for them. That's the stadium pitch. Once you have that down, you could break that up into all different types of marketing. It could be videos. It could be a bunch of reels on the front end and shorts that could lead to long form videos for the desire demand bridge, or those could be pages on your website, or there could be retargeting ads. There's all kinds of tactics you could use to deliver that message in the real world. Obviously, you're not going to be in a stadium with thousands of people in your target audience. It's a metaphor, but imagine what you would say if you were, and then you're going to deliver that message and break it up into multimedia using digital marketing. Now, once you craft your stadium pitch, you can market to the entire pyramid that I was showing you earlier, instead of that tiny little 3%. And the difference between this 97% of the people in the pyramid and this tiny little 3% is called the red ocean versus the blue ocean. So this tiny little tip of the pyramid right here, this is the red ocean. This is where all your competitors are marketing to the same exact audience. It's like bloody scraps. It's like a feeding frenzy of sharks, all competing for the same leads and the same traffic. It's just a bad strategy to market to only that 3%. Don't get me wrong, those are great people to market to because they buy right away, they're shopping. But if you only market to them, you're not going to be profitable, especially if you're in a competitive marketplace. It's just too saturated. This other 97%, this is what's called the blue ocean, because none of your competitors even know how to market to them. Nobody understands blue ocean strategies. They don't understand how to do educational-based marketing. They don't know how to craft a stadium pitch. So they're like that tire example I gave you earlier, where they're just like, hey, tires for sale, 40% off. Or when I was explaining how they're just like, look at me, I'm awesome, buy my stuff. That's the typical strategy that all your competitors are using. So you got to be unique. You got to differentiate yourself in a competitive marketplace. You got to stand out. You got to be the purple cow in the pasture of black and white cows. So how do you do that? You write a stadium pitch. You do a blue ocean marketing strategy. So instead of getting caught up in the feeding frenzy with all these sharks in the red ocean, you got to create a blue ocean strategy with a stadium pitch, and you could dominate the game. Once I learned this, it changed everything for me. These basic concepts will change the way you think about marketing, change the way you scale your business. The goal is to map out your customer's decision-making process from a stranger who doesn't know you all the way to a paying customer who tells their friends and family about you. That entire process is called the buyer's journey. You got to map that out step by step using the stadium pitch that I just gave you. Oh, and remember, the riches are in the niches. So once you get this mapped out, you'll never have to worry about marketing or sales ever again. So if you need more help crafting your stadium pitch, I included a link in the description down below with a free template. And if you like this video and you want to check out more content like this, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, motherfuckers, let's get to work.